Again, welcome to AMSA's very first general meeting. Super exciting to see y'all, and I do wish that we could be meeting in person rather than over Zoom, but we're doing our best and doing our part during this pandemic. So everyone feel free to turn on your cameras because that is just as rewarding and much better than a black screen. So again, please make sure you've used that tiny URL sign-in link and stick around for the full hour. You're welcome to use the chat throughout. Just please be courteous and mindful of our guest speaker later on, which will be a very exciting presentation and talk. So before we begin, we should probably introduce all of our current officers for the 2020-2021 year. And so I know many of y'all are returning faces, but we do have some new people in the Zoom chat, or in the Zoom room. So definitely could use a refresher and just get to know us a little bit better for the year. So in case you haven't seen, my name is Daniel. I'm going to be the current president for this year, and I'm super excited to see you guys and get to know y'all better. So I am a senior majoring in psychology, and fun fact about me, yeah, last year was the first time I got stung by a bee in a very unfortunate place, but it was a crazy first experience, and hopefully it never happens to you guys. But again, super excited.
Yeah, so hi guys, my name is Aditi. Like it says it there, I'm a senior BSA biochem major with psych and anthropology minors. As you can see with the pictures on the left, I was a super cool child, and I'm still really cool, so you should get to know me. I'm just kidding. Just a fun fact about myself is that I'm trying to teach myself kalimba in my free time, if you know what that is. So yeah.
All right, I'm Armand. I'm the secretary. I'm a junior majoring in biomedical engineering. Fun fact about me, even though about, I think like 20 to 30% of people can actually do this, I can raise one eyebrow. There's some pictures of me. I actually got to visit the like studio for Age of Ultron, or like one of the scenes that they shot in Switzerland. So that was pretty cool.
All right, I'm Anthony. I'm your fundraising director, and I'm a junior majoring in BS biology. And fun fact about me is that 3 years ago, my high school was on ESPN for football, and we were getting pummeled badly, but they kept showing us on TV and cheering. We had to cheer enthusiastically, even though we were blown out.
Hi everyone, my name is Carissa. It's so nice to see all of you, meet all of you. I am a junior biology major. I will be graduating this year, though, big sad. And I'm going to be your medical resources director. Those are some pictures of me. Fun fact, I once waited 7 hours to meet the Fault in Our Stars cast when they came and visited when I was in middle school with some of my friends. It was really a great time. And yeah, I'm super excited to get to know all of you newbies.
Hi, my name is Layla, and I'm going to be your public relations officer for this year. I'm a sophomore BSA biology major, and one time, my fun fact is one time I tried to change a light bulb when it was on, and I burned my fingers. So yeah.
Hello everyone, my name is Kevin. I'm a junior BS psychology major pursuing a business of healthcare certificate. My fun fact is I once stood in both hemispheres, or north and south hemispheres at once, in Ecuador, and that was really cool. Here are just some photos of me. Obviously, I have such great fashion sense. And funnily enough, so the little kid on the right wearing the green glasses, not me, it's actually Daniel. And we figured out that we both had this picture taken. So we're kind of like blood brothers or something, but yeah.
Twins, you could.
What's up, guys? My name's Sakif. I'll be another one of your social coordinators this year, and I'm a sophomore BSA biochem major. I'm doing the Elements of Computing certificate. Fun fact, I make YouTube videos, but unfortunately for you guys, they're all unlisted. And, you know, here's some pictures. There's me bald as a baby, and then a little bit up there, there's me bald as a not baby. And yeah, I'm excited to meet all you guys.
I'm one of your volunteer coordinators for this year, and I'm a sophomore biology major. And my fun fact is I like chicken a lot. And so all these pictures are me, and that's a banana that I featured one.
All right, my name is Maquil. I'm the other volunteer coordinator for this year, and I'm a sophomore BSA biology. And my fun fact is, if you see to the right, you have my x-ray and my wisdom teeth. And so if you look at the bottom ones, they're literally completely horizontal. So when I find out, that was pretty interesting. But yeah, that's all about me. And I'm excited to meet all of you guys.
So hi, I'm Garrett Kukitz. I'm a biomedical engineering junior, and a fun fact about me is that, as you can see by one of the pictures, I went to Washington, D.C. one time, and I wore this really funny jacket, but I used my pictures I took there for literally everything. So yeah.
Awesome. So hopefully that gives a little bit more insight into who we are. We're just a bunch of fun-loving friends here to have a good time. Clearly, you guys can see, but there's also tons of other reasons why you guys should join AMSA or continue with us this year, even though we're virtual. And so this next section is just going to break down what membership might look like.
Yeah, so first let's talk about how to actually join AMSA. All that's required to be a full UT AMSA member is to pay both local and national dues. It's fast, easy, and cheap. The local dues are what you should pay first, and these are required to join our specific chapter of AMSA. We've decided to reduce the local dues cost just for this semester, fall 2020, to $15 due to the current circumstances of COVID-19. Usually you would have 3 options to pay local dues. If you intended to pay for some semesters in advance, you could do that. But again, we have provided like a discounted rate just for this semester due to the current circumstances. We do offer scholarships, a local dues scholarship for those who may be having trouble to pay these dues, these local dues. We really want to make it easy for you guys to join our org and as affordable as possible. So we encourage you to fill out that local dues scholarship. The link is there. But it was also sent out in the newsletter, and I'll continue to send that out in the future newsletters as well. Next, and the local dues scholarship and the local dues are due by the second general meeting, but the hard deadline for these will be the 4th general meeting, which is, as you can see at the bottom there, October 21st is the 4th general meeting. That's the hard deadline for both local dues and the scholarship. Okay, for national dues, by joining the national chapter of AMSA, which is required to join our org specifically, you do get a lot of benefits. It is a one-time fee of $75, and that'll make you a member of national AMSA for 4 years. Those benefits that you get from that membership include free MCAT flashcards, which I personally used when studying for the MCAT. You get discounts on Kaplan prep courses, you get scholarships, and a lot more, which is listed on our website. Yeah, so again, the deadline for all of these dues is going to be the 2nd general meeting, which is September 23rd, but the hard deadline is going to be by October 21st, which is the 4th general meeting. Okay, and on to point requirements. So like many professional orgs, we have point requirements to achieve what we call active status. Here's a look at the point requirements for this specific semester. It is important to note that these point requirements are lowered from previous semesters. So even if you're a returning member, please pay attention to these point requirements. So as you can see, there are 3 tiers of active status: bronze, silver, and gold, with silver and gold being officer eligible. There are no real inherent differences between these tiers. Like if you're gold, you're not necessarily better than a silver member by any reason. But the only difference is that you get different material benefits like free merch, such as t-shirts and laptop stickers, depending on what tier of active status you manage to achieve each semester. As you can see, the minimum requirements for each tier are essentially the same in most categories for all of the different tiers. So there's 4 meeting, 4 volunteer, 4 social, 2 fundraising, and 1 medical resources. Points are the minimum requirements. The only difference between the tiers is the amount of points in the bonus point category. So in silver, you're gonna have to have 5 bonus points, and gold, you're gonna have to have 10 bonus points. And how these bonus points work is like basically any extra points you get in a specific category will count towards your bonus points for that semester. So what this means is that if you really enjoy volunteering, once you reach those minimum point requirements, you can just put the rest of your time into volunteering if that's what you enjoy, and those extra points you accumulate will count towards those that bonus points category. So how can you view these points? Well, you can view them on the member profile page or on the point sheet. The member profile page is on the website, and the point sheet is also on the website under the members resources tab. So it is important to know also that you have to have paid both local and national dues. So you have to be a full-fledged member before your name will actually show up on the point sheet. So if you have any questions about point requirements, you think your points are entered incorrectly, or you have paid dues but it's not showing up, just feel free to contact me. My email is at the bottom there.
Okay, so communication. If you're a member of AMSA, I would highly recommend downloading the Discord app. That's how we communicate as an org. So the first step to that is to download the app onto your computer or phone, make your account by registering. If you already have an account, then just join our server and make sure that your nickname is your first and last name. There's directions on how to do that in the welcome channel. And so after that, and after we approve you, you can explore all the channels that we have, such as like homework help, announcements, main chat, gaming, all sorts of stuff. And then if you need help, we also have a tutorial video on AMSA UT YouTube channel. That was just uploaded, and that should go through all the steps you need to do. Next. So the member profile page. So once you become a member, you should make a member profile page on the website. So go to the how to join page, and at the 5th step, you will be able to see a register link. And so just click on that register link, and then once you have that, just register with the email that you used whenever you signed up for AMSA, when you paid local dues and such. And once you register that account, you can view your points in each category, as well as your status, and also how good your dues are, or when your dues are due, I guess, at the top right. So if it's for fall 20 at the top right, then you need to pay dues for this semester.
Okay, so before we get into the rest of the presentation, let me just tell you guys a little bit about Famsa. Hopefully you guys have heard a little bit about it, but if you haven't, Famsa is our mentorship program, and that will open, the application for that will be opening today after this meeting. Just as a quick recap, Famsa is a really great way to get to know a small group of people in AMSA, like more on a one-on-one basis. So you can, make friends and stuff like that, and get advice in your classes and all that stuff. So if you have any questions about that, let me know. Like it says there, the due date is 11:59 on 9/23. However, there's an asterisk next to it because since we have extended dues deadlines, the application deadline for this is also kind of extended, but I can get information to you about that if you need it. So just for now, let's say functionally, it's next general meeting, and then we'll see if we need to extend that at any point in time. So just to plug again, the first Famsa event is on the 19th of this month, which is next Saturday, I believe. Not this coming one, the next one after that. And so please come out to sort of get to know what Famsa is about, maybe see some Famsa mentors and things like that so you can make your decisions better. And yeah, that's kind of all about Famsa. One quick note is that all of the Famsa links that you're seeing on these slides here are all on the members page. So once you become a member and everything and you're interested in the Famsa program, go ahead and check out the members page and you'll find all these links there, guidelines, point systems, as well as the application. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions about that. I'd be more than happy to answer.
So for the website, sorry about that. So to view our website, you go to utamsa.org, and there you can look at how to join, how to contact us. You can look at some pictures from events, and then probably most importantly for a lot of you is the calendar. So if you go up to the calendar tab, you can view all of our events for the month. And to sign up for an event, you just scroll down, or you first read everything at the top of the page, and then you scroll down to the calendar section, and then click on the events that you want to go to. And then at the bottom of each event, after you've read the event description, you can click the sign up link and also view like the Zoom link so that you can join. And then for the contact us page, all of our emails are listed there. So if you have any questions, please contact us. For the gallery, there's a submission button at the bottom of the gallery where you can upload files or pictures that you took at events or screenshots of Zoom meetings. And so we really appreciate all the pictures that we can get because it really kind of lets us look back at all the memories. Additionally, member resources page is password protected, but once you become a member, you'll get access to the passwords to view all of our member resources, such as volunteering opportunities and also the meeting slides. So again, this is just to reiterate how to sign up for events, going to the calendar tab and then going to the sign up sheet on the Google Sheet. Whenever you go to the Google Sheet, you'll want to fill out your name, your email, and everything else it asks you on the row. Make sure you fill out everything because if you don't, then you might not be guaranteed your spot. So every like the week before an event occurs, the sign up sheet for that event will be open at 8:30 a.m. So 1 week prior, and that's the first time where you can sign up for the event. So if you know that an event is going to be super full and super popular, you might want to wake up a little early at 8:30 and sign up for the event so that you get a spot.
All right, so one last thing, the next section will go over events, and I just want to emphasize that we do have very clear and pretty stringent safety policies for any kind of in-person event that we're doing, which admittedly we're not doing that many for obvious reasons, but please read through these policies because they are going to be important to know, not only as a student, but for all of these events that AMSA is putting on. We want to make sure you guys are safe, and the officers have worked really hard to put on these events for y'all, so definitely look out for that.
So kicking things off, we still have a lot of medical resources planned for you this semester. Just briefly, some upcoming events that we have this month are Get to Know AMSA Medical Resources, which is just going to be a very in-depth presentation about the various medical resources that we offer. This is particularly for new members or those who might want to recap. For our resources at both the local and the national level. We have a Let's Talk MCAT workshop coming up, which is going to be a huge deep dive into the MCAT exam, a personal statement workshop, as well as a series of Kaplan events that you can go to for a bonus point, and those are on our calendar. And then just some new resources that we are introducing this year for all of you returning members. Our AMSA shouting program has kicked off, and that is going swell. You know who you are if you've been doing shadowing. We have a couple of new AMSA guides, those regarding shadowing, finding jobs in the healthcare field, research, as well as the MCAT are now all posted on the website, so definitely check those out. We also have a doctor directory, which is an Excel sheet of all of the contact information of those physicians that have worked with us in the past that members are able to access and contact for mentorship or shadowing, etc. And we also are going to be introducing a medical media challenge, which is going to be a podcast that you can choose to listen to this semester, and we're going to have a debate in collaboration with SoCo later in the semester about major topics from that podcast. So that'll be coming up too.
All right. So for volunteering, we do have a couple of big events coming up, and some of which have already started. So Dell Medical School, we're currently acting as like door screeners for the medical school right off campus, and so we do have a sign-up sheet for that. That's on Discord right now, and we'll be putting that on the website in a little bit. And then after that, Central Texas Food Bank, which is this Saturday. And I know Garrett said that the sign-up sheets open up a week early, so the sign-up sheet for this one, I think it's already full, but if you do manage to find a spot, I would definitely grab it because CTFB is a lot of fun. And then we do have a couple of virtual events that will work if you're on campus and off campus. And so one of which is CDN, where we'll be making condom packets for the community. And after that, our PPE kits for frontline workers on September 26th. And then later on, we'll do our COVID-19 care kits on October 16th. And so we do have an in-person and a virtual option, like I said, and which maquil will be running as well.
Yeah, so Don talked a lot about our sort of facilitated volunteering events. So I'm going to drop into our broad Austin-based ones. So we have two different databases. We have the clinical volunteering database and the non-clinical or / virtual volunteering database. So basically, if you go into the website and on the members page, you'll find these two spreadsheets. And if you click on them, you can go through and check out and see what you're available to do. So basically on our clinical volunteering base, we have a bunch of different hospital volunteering. We have like Austin Speech Labs, which is like a stroke patient hospital. A bunch of different volunteering opportunities that you yourself can look into and apply for. And in addition to that, we have our non-clinical volunteering database, which is another spreadsheet with more volunteering opportunities as such as Caritas, and again, CTFB. And at the bottom of that, you'll actually find a document called online or virtual volunteering. And so that has a list for all of you people who are staying at home for the semester. There are a bunch of different online volunteering opportunities that you can get involved with, and you can have those contribute to some of your points for the volunteering requirement.
All right, moving on to socials. Our first social of the semester is actually Meet the Officers, and it'll be right after this meeting, after our guest speaker presents. So definitely stay after if you have the time. We really want to meet as many new faces and returning faces as possible. And then next, on this Friday, is Chill on the Lawn. I believe the sign-up sheet is already full, but there are some waitlist spots in case anyone drops it. But yeah, Sakif will take the rest of the events.
And following that, next Monday, we'll have Scriblio. That sign-up sheet opened on Monday at 8:30, so I looked at it and there's about 15 spots left, so if you want to get involved in that, make sure you go sign up. We'll also be inviting alumni to that, so you can ask them for advice and just talk to them about their experience at UT. After that, we'll be having speed dating, which is like an icebreaker kind of social, just so all the new members can kind of meet each other. And that's going to be next Thursday, so the sign-up sheet will be opening tomorrow for that one. And then after that, we got Turtles Pond Study Sesh, where we'll just go hang out around the turtle pond and study, and of course keep our social distancing going on. And that sign-up sheet will open on Sunday at 8:30.
Okay, so if you do miss a general meeting or you want to, hang out with me, you can come to the makeup meetings, which are every other Thursday the week after the general meeting. So the next one will be, or the first one actually, will be next Thursday on the 17th. And it'll just be a really quick recap over what we covered in the general meeting, and then I'll talk about something I want to share with you guys. And then you can also check out the AMSA merch store, which has stuff from years, like last year's shirts. It's just like you can pretty much buy anything on there, a shirt, a sweatshirt, a hat. So you can check that out if you're interested in buying merch from us. And then be sure to add us on Instagram and, of course, and Twitter and Facebook. And it's a great way to keep in touch with what AMSA is doing and to get reminders about general meetings and info sessions and some events. And if you have any questions, you can always direct message me on one of those accounts. And then this year's shirt, this is our general member shirt, and you pay for it when you pay your dues. And then we'll be setting up ways for you guys to pick up your shirts with social distancing and everything.
All right, so fundraising. So we have a few opportunities to get some fundraising points. So some of the easy ways is attending fundraising committee meetings where you have the choice to decide if you want a meeting point or a fundraising point. So those will be on Mondays every 2-3 weeks. So the first one will be on September 21st, and the next one will be on October 12th. We also have a profit share coming up, which is from Cold Cookie. So whenever you attend that profit share, make sure you mention that you're with AMSA. Make sure you wear masks because they have some safety guideline policies if you want to attend. And then after you get your receipt, just take a picture of the receipt and send it to my email. And you will be given fundraising points for that. And a way to get more fundraising points easily, especially under circumstances with COVID, there's the Charity Miles campaign, where I believe every mile you run, it raises 25 cents. So for every hour you guys exercise, you will receive 1 fundraising point. And then lastly, a large-scale event we're holding is a COVID relief online gaming tournament, which will be held on Saturday, October 24th, and it's open to everyone. So invite your friends, invite as many people as you want. There'll be 2 types of games going on. One is League of Legends, the other one is going to be a Scribblio tournament. And we have some prizes for the winners and the top 3 winners of Scribblio. So it's very exciting and hopefully a great way to get some fundraising points for you guys.
Awesome. And yeah, so one thing that's really important for us is providing y'all with lots of meaningful opportunities, clearly, but leadership is included in that as well. So even if you're a freshman, a brand new member, it doesn't matter. There's tons of ways to get involved with AMSA and to kind of take a peek behind the scenes, leverage some resources for campus events, all of that we highly encourage and want to see you guys get involved with. So we have officer assistant positions, 5 this semester, this year. So you should definitely apply to that, where you would be helping out officers plan events and eventually planning and organizing your own. A new thing this semester is going to be AMSA teams. So these are like individual committees with a specific type and goal of event in mind or resources. So AMSA Health is going to be focused on mental health resources for UT students. Thrift is focused on tech and healthcare innovation. And advocacy team is an existing kind of offshoot organization that branches off from us a little bit, but focuses on specifically health policy. So all 3 of these have are starting up again this year and have individual applications. So for AMSA teams, please check out that document. It says it's a form, but I believe that link will actually take you to a document. And all of these applications are opening after this GM and will close on the 2nd GM. So please get those applications in early. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Carissa.
Yeah, so thanks everyone for sticking around through our organizational updates. And I'm super, super happy to introduce you guys to our first position speaker of the semester. Please, everybody give a virtual round of applause and welcome to Dr. Pexon.
Hi there. I thought that I would sort of start big picture and then discuss some things that I think might be a little bit more relatable to you guys. I am a pediatrician and I am co-owner of my practice. So just a little bit about how I got there, because it isn't as straightforward as one might think. I did go to UT Austin for undergrad. I graduated in '96, and I graduated at the age of 19 because I went to the TAMS program, and because of that decided that 19 was a little too early to be going to medical school. And so I actually decided to work, and I did pharmaceutical research and clinical trials and travel, and then did the application process. I ended up going to A&M for medical school, and then after that I did my residency at Vanderbilt. And that's just another little spot where I thought that I wanted to go to Children's Medical Center Dallas because my then boyfriend, who eventually became my husband, was living in Dallas. But when I went to Vanderbilt, I fell in love with the program, the city, and I ranked that as my #1 and ended up going there for that. One of the things that I looked for was a program that had a hospital, a pediatric hospitalist program, because that's what I wanted to be. And they did, and I had a great mentor there. And when I finished my residency, I had applied and I got a job at Children's Medical Center Dallas as a pediatric hospitalist, and I was an assistant professor there. And I enjoyed doing that quite a bit, teaching residents, being out on the floor. And at that time, I had I think she was about 18-month-old. Yeah, she was about 18 months. And at one of our meetings, the chairman of the department said that we needed to be doing research. And if we weren't doing our research, then we wouldn't be promoted at the academic center. And that was not one of my priorities at the time. And so I actually very quickly started looking for another job. And I went into the private sector and was a hospitalist at a private hospital for a while, I think for about a year, and an opportunity fell in my lap where several people left after me for similar reasons. And she had started sort of a physician-owned hospitalist group and wanted me to be a partner with it. So I said yes, and we were going to various hospitals in the area, growing our business. And one of the things that happens when you own a business is you have to deal with all the financial issues that come with it. And some of the hospitals weren't doing so well, and they were not paying us. And so we quickly learned that even though we owned our business, there was still reliance on another entity to pay us. I think by this time I have 2 kids, and she was pregnant with her first child. And we were in the middle of a parking lot in front of like Bye Bye Baby. And I said, we need to create something that is truly ours. And so even though I love hospitalist medicine, we decided to open up our own outpatient pediatric practice with no knowledge, no business acumen, no great knowledge of outpatient pediatric experience, just sort of passion and a whim. And I guess a little bit of need too. And so we found ourselves a building. We started building an office. We hired a outpatient pediatrician who knew more than us. And then I found out I was pregnant with my 3rd child, who I delivered 3 days before we opened our first office in Rockwall back in 2009. And since then, we've actually opened 2 other offices. So I own 3 offices. We employ 10 physicians, and we gross over $10 million a year. We started with 0 patients. And I still miss hospitalist medicine quite a bit. There are things that are very mundane about being an outpatient general pediatrician, but there's lots of positives too. And I think that the time that I get to spend with my family, the ownership that I have really makes up for the things that I feel like I'm probably missing, not running around the hospital and teaching residents and that sort of thing. So that's kind of the big picture, kind of a good example of how things don't always end up how you think they might. And that's not always a bad thing. And it's always good to take calculated risks. And so I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have about that, or I can move on to kind of what I feel like might be a little bit more relatable to you guys. What do you think, Carissa?
Well, I guess we could take just a quick pause. I'm sure there are already, I see a hand raised. So if you don't mind, we could go ahead and just take a couple of questions now. Yeah. I see a question from Natalie. Natalie, if you want to unmute yourself and go ahead and ask your question, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, hello. So I have a question. If they hadn't kind of put a pressure on you to start doing research and go more into that sector of medicine, would you have left or no?
No. Well, I can't, I don't know. I think that one of the other issues that didn't bother me early on, but when I talk to my friends and I try to sort of pull hospitalists into the outpatient sector that I want to hire for my own practice, one of the things that I always mention is the hospital never closes. You know, it's open 24 hours a day, every weekend, every holiday. And when I was a pediatric hospitalist, particularly when there was just, you know, 3 of us, that meant that I was on call every 3rd weekend. And it's a tough call. It's going into the hospital to see patients. It's answering your phone at 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock in the morning. And that's kind of, that didn't bother me when I was in my 20s. I'm 43 now. You know, I like sleeping. I like having my weekends off. I like only working 1 holiday the entire year. But I can tell you at that time, I would not have made the decision to leave so soon. And obviously, I mean, I left to go to a different pediatric hospital program. I wasn't a program, it was just a job. It was just a, you know, private hospital that had a pediatric floor, and we didn't have to be in-house. At the medical center, the shifts were a day shift and a night shift. So there were lots of nights I was spending in the hospital instead of at home with my kids.
So I see 3 hands raised now, so I guess we'll go ahead and address these questions, and then Dr. Paxton will let you continue on. But I think, Jay, you were first.
I just want to ask, I usually ask this of every doctor, if you could go back and start over, would you do it all over again?
Oh, I would. But, you know, I feel pretty successful and happy with the way that my career life has turned out, so, and how it's affected my personal life. I also, though, think that, you know, part of it is probably good luck. The medical school that I went to, I'm still very, very close with all of my, all of the other students that were in my class. You know, back then there was only 65 of us. And the towns were considered to be very small. So you really were sort of forced to hang out with one another, and even with the residents, which isn't typical at a lot of places. And the same thing with my residency class at Vanderbilt. I'm still very good friends, not only with my co-residents, but with a lot of the attendings that I had at the time, even though I moved away, and, you know, a lot of the attendings there have moved away. There was sort of a family feel, a very strong support network. And I think that that adds some humanity to the profession itself, is when you have colleagues that you enjoy continuing to have discussions with years later. And I was able to make the profession what I wanted. Now, if I'd had no choice but to stay in the academic environment doing research that I felt was unfulfilling and causing me to not spend time with my family, you know, if that's how things had ended up, I might be telling you a different story. Or if I was having to rely on the hospital to decide how much money I made, how much I had to work, my answer might be different. But I'm 50% owner of a very successful practice, and I do the schedule, I choose who I employ, I choose who I fire, I choose how things run. And so for me personally, I think, you know, in a lot of ways I got lucky. So I would, and I can tell you that my daughter, that 18-month-old actually is at TAMS now. And she wants to go into medicine, and if that's what she wants to do, I fully support her.
Thank you very much.
Sure.
I think next we have a question from Francisca.
Hi, Dr. Paxton. I had a question about, like, kind of along the lines of when you opened your practice. Do you wish you would have had any, like, business knowledge or experience before you opened your practice? And do you recommend, if anyone has plans on opening their practice, to look into that more?
Yes, I do. I think that that's a place where medicine, when you're being trained, is actually very, very, very lacking. Even if you don't own your own practice, the piece of billing and coding is typically not taught. I was not taught that in residency at all. I learned that on my own and became pretty good at it. I was, my business partner and I were very lucky that we surrounded ourselves with people that we trusted who negotiated our leases and who had pretty strong financial acumen. I think that she and I came to the table with some amount of ability to evaluate dollars and cents and, bottom lines. But for sure, I think that if you can take some classes in business management, it would be very, very helpful. I still, of all the things that I do, I greatly, greatly dislike anything that has to do with human resources. And as much as we try to pawn that off, at the end of the day, she and I are still the owners and the boss. And so we still have to deal with it quite a bit. And that's not something that you're taught in medical school either. We've actually tried to offload as much of that as we can so we can just be doctors. But a lot of times in between patients, I'm trying to figure out, protocols and procedures with all this COVID stuff, dealing with employee issues, the way that they interact and behave is, you'd be surprised, but it's unfortunately a piece of owning a business that has nothing to do with medicine. And it would have been great to have some of that background for sure.
Thank you.
Jalissa?
Hello, Dr. Pexon. I was just wondering if you had any advice regarding anyone that's looking into pediatrics. And I know that there's a lot of individuals mention how whenever you have a kid to treat, the parent also comes with the patient. And so do you have any advice when dealing with challenges?
Yeah, I think that it's, and this doesn't just have to do with medicine. I think it's always very important to consider the other person's perspective. It is challenging that I would love to just deal with the kids all day long, but I have to deal with their parents too. And I don't know what kind of night they had the night before. I don't know if their kid was up all night screaming, if they were worried because their child had a fever and they didn't know why, and that comes across as being very easily irritable. I don't know what information they're getting fed from Facebook, from their mom, their best friend, about vaccines and about COVID. And so I think really trying to understand the other person's perspective and addressing it in a way that is compassionate to that is the art of medicine that you have to bring to the table, particularly with pediatrics. Obviously, if you're in an operating room, you're being very technical, but even if you're speaking to the family afterwards, there is that art of medicine, how to communicate. And the next piece that I wanted to talk about is sort of the application and interview process for medical school and residency. But it's very important for all of you guys to learn how to communicate respectfully, how to speak in a way that the other person can understand what you're saying. Not everybody has a medical degree. Not everybody goes to college. And you have to understand that when you're speaking to somebody else. I'm not saying, to talk down to them, but I'm saying to speak to them in a way that they will understand what you're saying and see where you're coming from and you understand where they're coming from. So particularly in pediatrics, it's an art form that hopefully everybody's practicing every day. But I think that's the biggest nuance in terms of communicating with parents. in terms of communicating with children, I mean, that's, I think, some of the funnest parts of my days. I can, I get to walk into a room and be absolutely obnoxious and jump up and down and get on their level and, roll the cars on their arms and figure out a different way to look in a kid's ear so that they don't cry. I love it when a parent says, oh my gosh, she's never been this calm during an exam before. And it's because I've taken the time to turn an exam into play. So I think just, being aware of the people around you and understanding their perspective and using that to your advantage.
And then lastly, we have Yash.
Yeah, I just had a question about how when you opened up your own practice, was it ever a worry about getting clients or patients? Were you ever worried about failing then? Because I don't know if that was or if you had already done research on the area and knew that there needed to be more pediatricians or anything.
For sure. And again, I think there's always a little bit of luck. So when we opened up our first office, we were the pediatric hospital doctors at the local hospital there. Well, actually, it was the next town over. But we kind of knew that it was a fast-growing city. To be honest with you, we knew the pediatricians in the area. And based on what we took care of in the hospital, we knew that there could be a better standard of care in that area. And so even though we had 0 patients to begin with, we quickly ramped that up because we had patients calling from that other pediatrician's office saying that they'd been in the waiting room for 2 hours. And did we have an opening? And we said, we sure do. I happened to live next to a town that was also very fast growing. And so when it came to open up our second office, we chose that location based on, again, how quickly the area was growing, knowing that lots of young families were coming in. We researched the area, looked at the age, the median income, the insurances that were in the area. And our last office we opened in Dallas, and again, in an area that we looked at the maps to see, we plotted out where the other pediatricians were. And then we just gave really, really good care, efficient care, and let word of mouth be what propelled us forward. So, and that's what we tell our physician employees. They always ask, well, how are we going to market ourselves? Because we don't go to the nurseries. We don't round at the hospital. And so all of our clients are basically just, our friend said this, or we Googled you and you have 5 stars or whatever. Did I worry that we might fail? Yeah, I mean, for sure. We took out a $500,000 loan to open up our practices. We had to pay that back. And, it takes a while to ramp things up. And anytime you bring on a new physician, again, you're paying them even though they're not making any money. And we oftentimes would use our profits to, so we wouldn't have to take out another loan. When we opened up office number 3, we didn't take out a loan. We were able to just use the profits from our other clinics. But yeah, even with our 3rd clinic that we opened in November, unfortunately COVID hit right when we were ramping up, and all of our offices tanked in April. We did not make money in April. But we're starting to ramp up again, and we made some changes and, changed our hours to make things more profitable. But that's always going to be a concern. So everything, like I said, I think that it's great to take risks, but they have to be calculated risks. You have to know what you're doing a little bit, or find some people that do that you trust.
Thank you everyone for asking those really great questions. And just to wrap things up, Dr. Pexon, would you like to touch upon sort of the other set of topics?
Yeah,
so
I'll just quickly go through those since I know that we're running out of time, and then I'm happy to answer any questions. But, all through training, school, in my various professions, I've always volunteered to be or was appointed to be on admissions committees. So it's pretty eye-opening. It's a lot of fun. And obviously I still interview doctors and look at resumes and interview candidates. And I think that, you know, I was thinking about what catches my eye and how to coach students when they're applying. And so I have these 3 Ps. The first one is personality. The second one is passion. And the third one is performance. So obviously, I think you have to be somewhat personable. You have to have some good interview skills. Now, how personable do you have to be? Once, if you think you're going to be more research oriented, getting an MD, MPH, some type of combined degree, you're not going to be as face-to-face with patients. Maybe you don't have to be as personable, but it definitely helps when you're interviewing to be able to carry on a good conversation and to make good eye contact. I'm actually going to come back to passion. I'm going to go with performance next, because there's a lot of things that you have to do that everybody else is doing. You have to make good grades. You have to volunteer. You have to show interest. And even though that part is checking a box, okay, everybody does it. We get that. The problem is if you don't do it, that then jumps out. It jumps out in a negative way. I can see 100, sorry, I'm outside. I can see 100 applications, and I'll go, why didn't this kid do any volunteer work? And there better be a good reason, otherwise that one's getting put to the side. So there are obviously extenuating circumstances, and I will usually look through to be like, I wonder why they didn't. But there is a performance piece to it, and you guys have to take it seriously. You don't want to be the one person that didn't do something, because it could be seen in a negative light. So grades, volunteering, and research to some degree. I think it's become more important these days, because it wasn't as important when I was applying, but it seems to be something that people look at these days. So the big thing, though, that may not be as well known is we look for passion. Again, I'm going to have a stack of applications with 4.0, 90 hours a week of research, mission trips, volunteering at 7 hospitals. But if I see that somebody volunteered somewhere and they did it for 4 years straight, that it had a personal or a community impact, that they did something from age 5 to age 20, that they carried a talent into college and continue to do it even though they weren't getting a grade for it and it wasn't a checkoff box. If I see something that makes me want to talk to that person, like, I want to know more about that, that one gets put to the top of the list. And I'm going to go and say to my friend who's also on the committee, hey, did you see that one application? That guy is like a 4th degree black belt in whatever. My daughter is a Polynesian dancer. She's danced hula and Tahitian since she was 5 years old. People always find that super interesting and want to talk to her about it. Those are the things that set you apart. And it sets you apart hopefully because you had passion and it wasn't just a checkbox. So it can really be anything. It doesn't have to do with medicine. It doesn't have to be a humanitarian thing, but something that shows that you had an impact on yourself or an impact on your community, I think is really sort of that golden egg that you can have to present. Lastly, these things are, I think, can be a challenge right now. If you don't feel like you have those things and it's kind of later in the game, start it now or practice your interview skills. Practice looking people in the eye. show your essays to other people, get lots of good input on it. The pandemic is going to be very, very tough on you guys. I think that, you know, for me, choosing A&M and choosing Vanderbilt was because of the feel that I got when I went there. And I worry for those of you applying to medical school and it's going to be Zoom or virtual, you're not going to get that piece. But I think, you know, do the best you can, talk to students that are there, try to socially distance and visit those places if you can. And you have to find a way to adapt to the situation that we have now. I've had several people ask if they could volunteer. I usually have students volunteer or shadow me at my office, and I just can't do it. I can't. It's just not safe for them. It's not appropriate for my patients and for the employees that I have to keep them safe. You know, my daughter's not able to volunteer at the hospital, something they'd set up last year. But you have to find ways to still show that you're having an impact in the community, that you're still contributing to the community, and that you still are pursuing your passions in different ways. So just keep those things in mind over the next year. I don't know, you know, we don't know when this pandemic is going to end, and at some point we have to start just figuring out ways to adapt to it and keep moving forward. That's all.
So before the officers, does anybody have any last minute questions? Or just like to say thank you. Turn on your mic for just a second. And please, please, please give Dr. Paxson a huge thank you for her time. And we really, really appreciate you coming on to Zoom. And it's definitely very much an unconventional format. So I see a lot of clapping, virtual clapping hands. So
I appreciate it. Good luck to all of you guys. And I'm always happy to help. I think Carissa has my email, and I'm happy to look at essays or answer questions. Unfortunately, I don't know what A&M Medical School looks like these days. It's like got a bunch of different campuses and so forth. But if anybody ever is looking at Vanderbilt for residency, I'm still really good friends with the program director there. So.
Well, thank you so much. Have a great rest of your evening and all of us.
Thanks. Bye, guys.
Thank you, Dr. Paxson.
Thank you.
And so just a reminder for all of y'all, Dr. Paxson did mention that we have her email, and Carissa mentioned that her info is going to be on the doctor directory. That is a resource that's available to paid members, and it's on our members page on the website. So another thing to look forward to. But hope you guys enjoyed that really full hour of information. And at this time, Aditi, if you can switch to the next slide. Just want to give you all a few reminders. These are things that are coming up sometime in between and before the second general meeting. So please, again, stay after for Meet the Officers. Our SOCOs will be handling that, and it'll be a great chance to get to meet individual officers. And we have our second general meeting back here in 2 weeks. So in the meantime, write those applications. We really enjoy seeing you guys at events and talking with y'all. So you guys are free to stay, but I think we'll turn it over to SOCO, and y'all can get the next event going.